had my own perfect plan.
Yes.
I was either going to go to CARIMAC, which is the more media-oriented institution, or I would have gone to law school.
Yeah.
But my mom insisted that moving abroad would be better for me. And so in 2010, I moved abroad to attend York University. And it was such a difficult transition for me within that first year.
I can imagine.
You leave your best friends, your family, you know, everything that is familiar, to come to this place that is quite different. It's cold. That's the
Cold is
first.
an understatement. Yes. Welcome everyone to another episode of Meta Transitions. Today we have with us Shari-Ann. She is my friend. She hails from the beautiful island of Jamaica where she grew up and since have lived in about 4 other countries. Today she's going to share her experience with us of traveling to these countries and what that was like for her over the last 10 years. Welcome, Shari.
Thank you for having me, Trisha. I'm really excited to be here to share these stories with you, and I hope that you guys will enjoy them. So yeah, looking forward to talking more about what those transitions were like for me since leaving Jamaica. So we'll see how that goes.
I'm sure it's going to be great. Yes. All right, Shari. To start off, just tell us what your transition story is like.
Well, for me, I lived in Jamaica basically up until the age of 19. And then I moved to Canada to pursue my bachelor's degree in linguistics in 2010. I never wanted to come to Canada. I had zero intentions of coming here.
Well, Jamaica's amazing, so I
Jamaica
could see
is
why
beautiful.
you wouldn't want to come.
For sure. But my mom insisted that moving abroad would be better for me. And so in 2010, I moved abroad to attend York University. And it was such a difficult transition for me within that first year.
I can imagine.
So many different experiences. You leave your best friends, your family, you know, everything that is familiar and exciting and what you call your home and happiness. To come to this place that is quite different. It's cold. That's the
Cold is
first.
an understatement. Yes.
Frigid temperatures. And so, you know, that was the first part of me just not liking it. Didn't like the weather. You know, it takes a little time to make some friends as well. So just in the beginning, it was, to me, awful. But then there were other things that were so much better. So growing up, I think I didn't have my own bedroom until I was about 15. Maybe 14 or 15. And that bedroom still did not have a door. It was a curtain. So
Jeez, no privacy.
No privacy,
Oh,
not really.
Yes.
But coming here, my grand aunts had a more structured approach to life in terms of, you know, you have dinner at a specific time. This is your room. These are your specific duties. So for me, it was very different to transition into that lifestyle of more structure in that way. It seemed in the beginning just like a little rigid to me. But as I got to know them and they got to know me, we really and truly, you know, bonded very well. And they were able to help me find my own place. After about a year of living with them, I was able to move into my own apartment. And I can imagine you also had similar experiences because you two are from Jamaica and moved here.
Yes.
So I'm sure you can think about some of those challenges and relate to them.
Yeah, what I would say for me was, yes, I had church family back home. I had, like, I guess you could say my mom's side of the family there, because most of my dad's side of the family had already immigrated here. So we already had a lot of my dad's side already here in Ontario. So when we did decide to move, where there was sort of that sense of, you know, going to be with family, or, you know, in a place where family already was. So I didn't feel like I would miss family as much. So I think that may be the difference, maybe in our stories. And maybe a difference as well is I moved with my whole family. Right. So I had my mom, my dad, my brothers, and we all moved together. So I could see how, you know, it was a little different for you because you moved by yourself and you left your mom and your siblings back there. So I could see how that would have been a huge, you know, transition for you in that case. But yeah, for sure, like the things that I missed was more the sunshine. Yes, the warmth, the Irie vibes, you know, there's that sense of, you know, when you talk about no problem, you know what I mean? There's even though there's a lot of issues in Jamaica, right? Poverty, you know, and for me, I came from the country, so I lived, you could say, at the foot of the Blue Mountain Peak. So where you would start the climb to go to the Blue Mountain Peak, I lived in that neighborhood, that village there. And it was very much an Irie vibe, you know, like even though there are things going on around you, even though it's a poor area, you know, people still helped each other out. It was a community, right? And I would say when I moved here, it was very different. Everything was cold. I came here in a snowstorm and I would wanted to go back on the plane, I would say. But not only was it cold in temperature, but I felt like it was cold in community too. I didn't feel like people were warm. I didn't feel like people said hello to you on the streets. And I would say what helped with that was church family that we had here. So we went into we're from the Adventist church. So when we started going to church, then we met other Caribbean people. So it was almost like the whole church was Caribbean, if you want to call it that. So, you know, what the community that I would have missed from Jamaica, or being in Jamaica, I found at church.
You found at church.
So even though, you know, during the week, I would go during the week and I'd be depraved of, you know, that community or those Irie vibes, I would get it when I went to church on the weekend. So, you know, I didn't really miss that as much. So I felt like I was able to adapt more to moving because I had family and I had a community that was made up mostly of Jamaicans. So what was left was more the temperature, which it took some time to get used to. So I would say that sort of was my experience. With moving from Jamaica to here.
And for me specifically, I'll talk for myself. When just coming here, that my mom and I were so close. My mom used to call me her handbag because she'd take me everywhere. So no longer being her handbag, no longer having her meals, no longer being able to hug her. All of those things really made such a difference. But we made it through. Got the bachelor's degree. After the 4 years, we did well. It was fine. We definitely triumphed. But in that time, that rigid idea of who I thought I was, because I was just like, okay, this is me. This is all I know is as who I am. I didn't think I could change into any other version of myself or want any other things. But after the 4 years, meeting some amazing people, I'm just blessed to have really great friends to have helped me with the transition. And family too.
Of course. And I think what I'm hearing for you was that there was a loss for sure. You know, when you're, I guess anyone that's transitioning from, you know, one place to another, you know, it's normal to have that sense of loss of what things were. You know, what things were like, who you were at that point in time, and sort of wanting to hold on to that when you get to this new place. But realizing that you had to wrestle with yourself, with, you know, what you're losing, and then thinking about, okay, what can I gain? And I could see how that would be challenging, right? But then you were able to, you know, recognize, okay, I may not have mommy, you know, you have these cousins, right? And you were able to create a new community, you know, around yourself while you were in school. And, you know, it sounds like you were able to transition because of that support that you were able to get.
And I actually have a cousin who went to the same university. We have the same name. She calls me her copy. I see you, Shari. I felt pretty good going into first year. So at the end of the day, I feel just really blessed to have gone through that, but definitely not the same person as when I entered in 2010. When I graduated in 2014, it was a completely different girl. I came with creamed hair or permed hair, straight hair. And then, by the time I left, I had an afro.
Okay. Still had the afro.
I still had the afro, guys. Just so many different moments, so many different awakenings. And just being so much more confident in who I am naturally. And then, so I thought I would have wanted to pursue something in possibly law or something like that. But during university, I just found that there were so many options. And I was just like, okay, I really love media and I want to go back to my first love. So I decided to do a degree in media and communication, so a master's degree. And for that, I thought, if I can transition in Canada, then I can transition anywhere.
Of course.
And so after that, I moved to England.
Okay.
I moved to England.
Okay, the UK.
The UK.
Okay, so this is our first move, guys. Jamaica to Canada, Canada to the UK. All
exactly.
Right.
So the UK was completely different. It's a different culture again. We speak the same language, so that's wonderful. That's always helpful.
Yes.
But once again, we have to find new friends. We have to adapt to a different way of life, slightly different systems, and just getting into that. I tend to cry when I feel overwhelmed.
Yes.
So I remember my first day at university, I ended up just bawling. Just crying somewhere under a staircase because I had a certain amount of money with me at the time, and I think they wanted even more up front. So I just got really stressed out about how I was going to afford everything, even though I did get a small bursary from the school when I applied. They called it I was an international scholarship winner, but it really was more like a bursary in terms of the amount that you got. But I'm still grateful. But yeah, so at the time I was so worried about my finances. I was really stressed that day, and I just remember my luggage being broken.
Oh man.
And then I had to carry it down a hill.
Jeez, it sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot.
I couldn't find my dorm. Everything. I was so stressed that first day. And for the first semester, I think I was also still just very sad, missing home, missing my new home, Canada. Missing my friends. And that first semester, I remember it also was pretty hard to make friends until I heard a Caribbean accent on the bus.
Okay.
I was on the bus one day and I heard this guy talking and I was like, ooh, he sounds like he's from Barbados. I should ask him. And then I tapped him on the shoulder and I'm like, where are you from? Are you from Barbados? And he's like, yeah, I'm from Barbados. Where are you from? Then I said, oh, I'm from Jamaica. And then there you have it. My first friend.
First friend. Oh, man, I can't. Let me tell you, the first time I heard somebody speaking Jamaican patois on the bus.
Yeah.
And I looked around and I was just like, who is this person? And can I tell you, it was this Chinese lady. And I went over to her and I was just like, are you Jamaican? And she's like, yeah, man. And I was like, yes.
It's so refreshing. It does something to your heart to just hear that Caribbean accent. Just know that someone who will understand you in some way where you don't need to over explain who you are just makes all the difference. And from there we met more Caribbean friends. So I met 2 other Jamaican girls. One was doing her PhD, the other one her master's. And they became my community. You know, they were my main friends when I was there. And then, of course, I started to get closer to my flatmates. I built some relationships there. Beautiful. All of that. Different cultures, different languages. Because I had flatmates it was about 9 of us in that flat. And we all came from different places. So one person was from Turkey. A couple of them were from China. Another person was from Italy. Another person from Greece. Then I'm from Jamaica.
Multicultural.
So it was just a multicultural flat, and then we gathered together a lot because we were a sense of community for each other. And so we just had such a good time together. Late nights trying to get our dissertation done. You know, trying to pool our money to go out because London is expensive. Transitioning there was another just interesting moment. But we did it. And now we have a master's degree.
Lovely. Lovely, man. It sounds like, you know, you were able to take what you learned from your first move to Canada, that sense of, okay, I need to create a community. And then, you know, you took your opportunity when you heard that accent on the bus and you're like, okay, this is my chance to start your community. And you took that with you to the UK, and you were able to, again, create a community there that helped you and supported you along with your flatmates, you know, that was multicultural.
And I think one key point that I need to mention, I also moved to the UK with another friend, but she lived in Manchester. And I was in London. So as much as I had a friend, she was far away.
Got it.
Because it's still like a train ride, a few hours to come to London. So I didn't get to see her very often. But she was always there to talk on the phone. And so without her, I wouldn't have gotten through even the first semester. Because I just remember just being very stressed and calling a lot. And then I remember I got so sick. And she came one day just to help take care of me and bring me orange juice and make sure I was doing well. So I'm just so grateful for Haley because she was there as well.
Yeah, no, and social support is so important.
It's so important. So I was really glad to have her. And when Christmas came, I remember also just being in tears because I was like, oh, I have no family here. But once again, Haley came to the rescue and she just invited me into her world and her family's life. And they had me over for Christmas, and that made all the difference.
Of course. So, I think also what I'm hearing
happy
in the background there, Shari, is sort of that sense of, even though you had you had support, you know, you had to seek that out at some point. So if you were sick, let's say, you would have to tell your friend that you were sick, and then your friend would come, right? So it's sort of like, yes, you have the support, but at the same time, you're using the support. You're making sure that when things are happening for you, you're seeking out the support and reaching out. And that's a really huge part of, you know, transitioning, is making sure that you're seeking help and ensuring that, you know, you're using, you know, the people around you, that community, again, that you've created, you know,
to support you. For sure, I agree. I even started working at a Jamaican restaurant. I worked on campus, and all of those little communities made a world of difference, because the Jamaican restaurants meant more exposure to other Jamaican people, which was Jamaican wonderful.
Food.
And Jamaican food. Oh my goodness. And when you're a broke student,
working at a restaurant, guys, tip when you need
find
money, work
the food
at a
services.
restaurant.
I'm telling you, I was working there, and I remember just scrubbing the pots, peeling onions, sharing out jerk chicken, rice and peas, all of these things. And then if there was food left over, I'd get to take it home.
Of course.
And then, of course, I called up the other Jamaican girls and the other Caribbean guy. I'm like, hey,
I got some food.
Do you want food? This is what's on the menu tonight. And so I just started feeding the friends. And that's how we did it. You know, when we wanted to see Scotland, pooled our money together and we went. And it was just like a brilliant time. I had such a fun time. And then after that, I think the travel bug just like got me. That was it. So I came back. I was working in Canada for a bit, loved it. But then I heard a friend who said she was going to Korea. I was like, Korea? She's like, yeah, I'm going to teach English. I was like, teach English? You can teach English abroad. So I started to think more about that option, and I said, oh, you know, why not?
Yeah.
She just said she's going, and I'm like, I'll look for my own job as well. And I did, and I got the job. Nice. And then all of a sudden I was moving. Okay. A month later.
Another move.
Yeah. Okay. Just a month later. I said, okay, you know what? Korea.
All right, so England, back to Canada, and then Korea.
I said, you know what, we're going to try Korea. And everybody, my mom was so nervous. You don't speak the language. How are you going to teach the kids? All of these different things you never taught before. I'm like, well, I'll figure it out.
New experiences, yes.
So now we're moving on to Korea. My friend, she moves to Seoul. So I have these things where I go with friends, but they're in completely different cities. So she's in Seoul. Nadia, I love you. She's in Seoul, and I moved to a place that by bus, I think it's about 4 hours away from Seoul, Jeonju. So, and we go at different times. Yes. I think I went slightly later than she did. So when I moved there, I was supposed to meet just a woman who was supposed to pick me up from the bus station and I would be on my merry way. You know, it's gonna be great.
Yes.
It's gonna be fine.
Yes.
We're good. So we get to the airport. I meet my agent who helped me to get the job. It's wonderful. I'm happy. She gets me my bus ticket. I'm ready. We're going. So I get on the bus. Nobody speaks English. I only know how to say hi. So all I can say is, "안녕하세요." And that's it. I'm on this bus for 4 hours in the night. I need to pee.
Oh, Lord.
And I'm so scared. I don't come off the bus, even though the bus stops for, like, you know, people to come off and refreshments and all of these things. I stay on the bus like this.
Nope. Oh, gosh.
Holding my pee.
That would be frightening, though.
Holding my pee in the middle of, like, just in the night, just holding my pee like this. Because I'm just like, I really need to get off this bus. But nobody speaks English on the bus. So I'm just like, what if I get lost and I don't know where the bathroom is? Like, how will I then, you know, get back on the bus? I'll be left in the middle of nowhere. I get to Jeonju. I get off the bus. I have all my luggage. I mean, I moved my whole life. So I have a fair bit of luggage.
Yes.
And I'm waiting for a woman to come and pick me up. Now everybody's leaving. I don't see my ride yet. This is the night in a completely new place.
Oh my gosh.
Do not know the language. Everybody's leaving.
Yes.
And there's Shari-Ann still there in the middle of the night waiting for a car to pick her up from this person she does not know. So I'm still waiting. Then finally I'm able to play a bit of charades with the person who was another person who was also in the space waiting as well, and asked them if I could borrow their phone to call the person who's supposed to come and pick me up. So I call. This person doesn't really speak too much English, but I'm okay with that. We get the idea that I need to be picked up and that the other person is on their way. So I'm still waiting. So the person gets there and they kind of just point at me and they're like, "Come." And I'm like, "That's not a woman."
Supposed to be a woman. Oh gosh, so a man shows up.
A man shows up. And so I'm like, is this the right person? Does he work at the school? And he doesn't speak a lot of English either. So he kind of just nods and gestures.
Get in.
I'm like, okay, I'll get in the car. Because at this point, I'm tired. I need to pee. I still haven't peed.
You haven't peed? Oh my gosh. So this is about probably 5 hours now.
More than that.
Jeez.
I still just have not peed. And I'm just there, like, really hoping I could find a washroom. So I get in the car. He doesn't speak a lot of English, so he's silent. I'm silent. And he takes me to what looks like a motel. And in Korea, they're like, I think they're known as, like, love motels.
Okay.
And it's not looking like a hotel. It's not looking fancy. It's looking pretty creepy. And so I'm walking through and I'm moving things. I'm like, okay, where is this?
Yes.
And I'm so nervous. And I put down my stuff. He takes me to a room and he's like, sleep. He gives me a piece of paper with the address of the school. He says, take a taxi, see you tomorrow. And in all of this, it's just like very little English. Just a lot of like pointing, showing, and I get the basic idea of what I meant to do.
Yes.
I was just, at that time, I remember lying on the bed but feeling so gross because I needed a shower after that long flight. I still needed to pee.
Oh man.
And I'm just like, how am I gonna make it work? Jeez. Anyways, have a shower. I go on, I figure it out somehow. I flag a taxi down. I get to the school the next day with the paper, my little paper. And then I meet other foreign teachers.
Yes.
And that changes. So they helped me move into my apartment in a couple days. I shadowed the teacher who I would be taking over her classes for about 2 days. And then they're like, teach.
Wow. Thrown in there.
Never taught in my life. Teach. It's like, okay, we're going to do this. And being a teacher, let's just say, like, I give all my respect and admiration and love to teachers because teaching, it takes a lot of patience, so much patience. And you really have to know yourself and be confident in yourself to stand up in front of these kids and really take charge of your classroom and engage and share. And so I had the babies for the first bit in the mornings. I'd have them for about maybe 3 hours. I don't remember how long, but I had them for a few hours. And they would just run around all the time. So me trying to learn how to classroom manage without shouting, without getting stressed.
Yes.
You know, speaking in a calm, even tone, and just making sure that they understand without being aggressive was just very different, very difficult. I just didn't know what to do.
Yes. Yes.
And I remember going home and crying a lot. Yes, I cry a lot, guys. When I'm stressed, overwhelmed, I would just go home and cry because I was like, why won't they listen? They're 5. That's normal. And then after a while, you know, asking questions from other teachers, learning about their teaching styles, finding my own teaching style. Like growing up, the Jamaican school system, I feel like teachers tend to be strict.
Yes.
And so that's the approach I wanted. But with they're 5-year-olds. They're Korean. Like,
yeah, you realize
they don't even understand everything I'm saying. They don't understand every single word that comes out of my mouth. So that also is a challenge, right? So after a while, I find my own little way, and it was just beautiful. The experience completely changed me. You know, these kids, they were a handful, but I love them so much. So much. They've taught me so much about myself. I didn't even think I wanted to be a mother before moving to Korea. Yeah. And then after teaching those babies for a year, I was like, maybe I could do this. Maybe it's not too bad. Like seeing them every single day, well, 5 days a week for classes, and just having them love on me and loving right back on them, and just teaching them and being their teacher and having them look up to me, you know, and just really see me in a way that I haven't even seen myself. Because a lot of them, this is their first time spending so much time with a Black person. Yeah. And so they were very curious. Yes. Especially my 10-year-olds, they could speak English very well. So they had a lot of questions. And I remember one student in particular, Daisy, she wrote an essay about why I was her favorite teacher. Oh. And she's like, Shari teacher is very different. On the outside, she looks like chocolate. But when you look at her palms, they look like me.
Oh, that is so cute.
And it was just interesting to see how she saw me. Yes. You know, through her eyes, this is what I looked like. I was like, okay, I'm a chocolate person with, you know, on the inside, I apparently look like her complexion. Yes. And she just thought it was so interesting. And she, you know, she said really nice things, that I'm kind and I'm caring and I'm patient with them. And all of these things I had to learn, you know, to get to that point. I remember at points I was also trying to lose weight at one point. So they would say, teacher, when you got here, you were, huh? And now, teacher, you're, They're just so honest.
Yes. And the encouragement too, right?
Yes. In their own little way, they were just so kind, so caring, and they cared about me so much. Even on days I just did not want to be there, because we all have those days. They would ask me, teacher, are you okay? Do you need more coffee, teacher? Teacher, tired? And so it was just nice to have them care about me so much. And because of that, I just wanted to show up every day, giving 100% to these kids. And so I absolutely loved the experience. I remember going to the doctor was fun. Another game of charades. Okay. You know, you're like, you're trying to explain your symptoms. Yes. Because I know no Korean. And I didn't even have a phone plan. Don't ask how I didn't have a phone plan. So I wasn't translating anything on Google. Yes. Because I just did not have a phone plan or anything like that. So that was an interesting time.
Okay, so I think what I'm hearing here, the challenges was definitely the language barrier.
The language barrier, for sure.
The language. And it's almost like you said, you felt the most comfortable when you were in your classes, because the students were the ones that maybe knew the language. Right. Or knew how to speak with you in English. So then you were able to speak with the students.
And then the teachers.
And the teachers. Yes, there we go. But then there was another transition of figuring out how to teach.
The language, a completely different society, and the way of how they do things there, very different from Western society. So transitioning to that was also difficult. Even the showers in Korean bathrooms, that was also a transition. There were just so many things, but they have heated floors. So that's amazing.
I remember you were telling me about the wet showers.
I lie on those heated floors after, oh yes, because with the faucet, when you turn it on, you can either turn on the shower because they're connected. You can turn on the shower or you're turning on the actual faucet. And a lot of the times I turned on the shower. And so I'd be very much dressed, ready for a night out.
Oh, God.
And then just get drenched. It was wonderful. I figured it out eventually, guys. It worked out, but I just appreciated that so much, that experience, because I really learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about how other people see the world and another way of living, another way of life. They're very communal. At first, I didn't want all my chopsticks mingling with other people's chopsticks, but now I'm just like, it's okay. We're sharing one pot. It's fine.
Yes.
I'm fine. So yeah. Very, very amazing experience for me.
Sounds like it was very, you know, an experience that exposed you to, as you said, a new culture, a new way of life. And it, you know, I guess gave you insight and helped you to even gain more knowledge about who you are as a person. And even things that you didn't think you could do, like parent. You know, you started thinking about, you know, the possibility of that for you in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think what I'm taking away from, you know, your Korean experience is that exposure can sometimes open a person up to new possibilities.
For sure. Hands down. I definitely agree with that. Korea changed my life, made me so much stronger. There are so many things I didn't think I would be able to do in life that when I went there, I'm like, if you can go here and not be able to speak the language, but make so many beautiful friends, have some of the best times you've ever had in life, and really learn how to teach and become a pretty good teacher. Yes. I think so.
And your student thought so.
Yes. I have some wonderful essays to prove it.
Yes.
But yeah, and being able to do that, I thought, you know, I can do anything. And that kept me thinking, well, what do I want to do next? So I thought, you know, let's teach some more.
Nice.
But let's go somewhere else.
Okay, where to now?
Shanghai.
Ooh, China.
So I left Korea, went back to Jamaica for about a month, saw my family, had fun, came back to Canada for a bit as well, worked in the summer, and then I was off. I was off to China, Shanghai, China, where I also did not know the language. But we've been there.
Yes.
So, you know, it didn't faze me that way because I was going to a place that, you know, I've dealt with a transition like this before. Yes. I don't know the language, don't know the people, don't really know the culture as well. Like, you do your research, but you don't really know everything. And so once again, it's a learning curve.
Yes.
But quite like the Korean experience, you know, I took the things I've learned from that, the importance of building my own community. Yes. And there were a lot of Jamaicans there, so that helped.
Yes, Jamaicans are everywhere. I'm not surprised.
Everywhere. Yes. So the fact that they were there, that was already a start. I met some amazing friends in China who I'm still friends with today, celebrated birthdays, had a really good time, taught some amazing kids at Disney English. I don't think they're in operation anymore, but that's where I worked when I was there. It was a fun experience working for Disney. Got free passes to go to Disneyland, China.
Ooh.
And so that was,
I can imagine how
that
fun
was
that
exciting.
must have been fun. Yeah, for sure. Jelly. I'm jelly because I've not been to any of these amazing, you know, fun places, but I'm sure you had a great time.
I did, and if you were there, I would have taken you on my free pass because I could bring friends.
Oh, you could have brought friends.
Yes, every time. So you know the Jamaicans. The Jamaicans were calling me up.
Shari, I want to go on the ride.
So I would take my friends in to go on the rides and everything, and we had a great time there. And it was Disneyland had the only cheesecake factory in Shanghai, so we loved it.
Yes.
We had such a good time there. I met some amazing people as well. And once again, we learned so much more about ourselves. I traveled, so while in Asia in general, I traveled to Cambodia, Thailand, Bali, and overall just had a really good time, learned so much more about myself, met some amazing friends. And so because of all of those experiences, I now have a better idea of what I want to do, which has to do more with traveling, creating, and educating. And I'm still on the lookout for the profession that sort of blends all of those things together. But I'm just so grateful for the ways in which it changed me and helped my soul to grow in ways that I would not have been able to do had I been so fixed on remaining who I was when I left Jamaica that first time.
Okay, and I think you're touching there on mindsets, right? So sort of the fixed mindset versus the mindset that's growth mindset.
Growth mindset,
yes,
so important.
Yes, and it sounds like, you know, your experiences helped you to get to the place where now you're more open to, you know, more possibilities than, you know, sort of the Jamaican experience where you're just like, nope, this is the only, you know, route that I can take. Whereas now you've been exposed to so many different cultures and experiences, languages, people, that now you're like, okay, I need to, you know, use all of this information and figure out where this can take you.
Yes, exactly. I would definitely say that. So I'm super excited about it. I would encourage everyone to take the time to live somewhere else, to discover a different, even if you're moving to a different city within the same country, take the time to live somewhere else, to put yourself outside of that comfort zone and to try new things, because you never know what you'll be able to experience, like how you will grow, how much you will change. The different aspects of yourselves that you'll learn about, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. There's just so much to learn, so much to grow from, and just so much change waiting to happen. You know, and change can be uncomfortable, but it can also be a blessing. It can be beautiful. You can evolve into something that you could never have conceived. When I was in Jamaica, I never thought I would be in Thailand exploring floating villages. You know, I never thought I would be in Bali getting massages and seeing temples and monkeys and rice paddies. I never envisioned this life for myself at all. And I just thank God so much to have been given the opportunity to explore and to do things that a lot of my family members have not yet had the chance to do. Which breaks my heart in some way. I wish I could give them that experience, and hopefully one day I'll make it. And I can do that for them as well, because it's so important. It's so soul enriching. But it's also nice to know that I can be an example to a lot of my younger cousins to reach for their dreams, their goals, and to just get out there and take up space in this world.
Take up space. I like it. I like it.
Thank you. For sure, you know, just a little girl from an inner city community in Jamaica, just out here doing her thing at the end of the day. So when I get a little stressed and worried about life, I just kind of go back to that girl, and that keeps me grounded, and that reminds me why I'm doing it, you know, and what's important to me. I want my family to be able to be proud of me, you know, like they sacrificed a lot for me to be here today. And have these experiences, so I just want to make them proud, and I want to make myself proud. So
thank you so much for sharing, you know, your story with us, and also, you know, telling us about the experiences and how it impacted you, you know, even though you went through a tough time transitioning from each country to the next, you know, you were able to walk away with, you know, things that you learned and how you grew. And that's sort of what transitions are all about, right? Being able to recognize how you can be resilient through that tough time. And I guess the last question I'll ask you is maybe sum up for us a few tips from, you know, your experiences in these different places. And if you were to, you know, tell individuals, I guess, out there who maybe, I don't know, that are like maybe inner city kids, maybe, you know, who are not sure where they want to go, what they want to do, what would you tell them?
So for me, in terms of just traveling in general or getting to your next point, I think it's always important to be open, to be honest, to be kind. My mom always wanted me to be a bit tougher. I don't think I've gotten tougher, guys. I'm still in the world, in the eyes of the world, I'm probably still quite soft but there's so much beauty in softness. Never lose that. You don't need to become harder and more rigid for the world to accept you. You just need to be who you are. You know, you need to believe in yourself and be confident in what the gifts that you have and what you bring to this table. I find the openness to make all these different friends for me led to so many different opportunities. Just being kind to people, talking to people, you know, sharing, learning, growing. I think for me, that openness was a big part of me being able to go to all these different places. And just have courage. And courage doesn't mean that you'll just do everything and go everywhere and you'll just know what you're doing. You'll still be scared. You'll still be so scared, but do it anyway. And I think for me, that's how I would define courage. I'm trembling, but I'm getting on that plane. I want to pee, but I'm still sitting there freaking out, but I'm still on that bus. I'm still going on that journey, you know. All of these things that I've done, I haven't done them feeling 100% confident about every single choice or decision I've made. I've just done it anyway. I've done it no matter how scared and worried I felt. I've decided to just go ahead. And for me, I think what comforted me was just knowing that wherever I went in this world, God was always with me, you know, like I always had God with me in the back pocket. I had my Bible. My Bible has gone on a journey.
Yes, the traveling Bible.
The traveling Bible. I've had this Bible since 2004. It was a gift after I first got baptized. And this Bible has gone with me through every single transition. It has been my safety net. I've cried on it multiple times, cried, the pages are wet, everything. It's just been my little home. So I would say definitely be open, be courageous, be kind, because it's just always nice to be kind. Believe in yourself and surround yourself with a good sense of community. I can't stress how important it is to find the right people. And to take time to know those people that you're involving in your life, because they also shape who you become. And if you surround yourself with people who want to see you grow and develop and pour good things into you and are doing good things themselves with their lives and things that you admire, you know, you define what those things are for you. But people that are doing things that you want to do, people who you can see yourself in some way, shape, or form, who inspire you to be better, who challenge you to grow, who just, you know, help you to evolve in ways that you could never expect. So I would say surround yourself with those people, and then you'll just see how much you'll blossom and bloom.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Shari.
Thank you for having me.
How can these lovely people find you? Because I know they're going to want to hear so much more from you, and I know you're a great storyteller. So how can they?
I appreciate that, Trisha.
Of course.
You can follow me on my adventures on Instagram as well at The Adventures of Shari B. So if you want to stay in touch and if you want to get to know me, you can always send me a DM.
Wonderful. There you have it, friends. I told you it was going to be a fun time and we didn't disappoint. Okay. So I will put Shari's contact details in the link below. So until next time, take care.
Bye.
For a lot of parents, they know that having the non-parents in their life can be really annoying. And I was absolutely one of those annoying non-parents in my 20s who frankly thought I knew everything. I got really good working with the children that others had given up on. So good that I kind of became the it girl in my work. But one day, a file came across my desk and it was 2 brothers. No one would work with them. The last person who did, they beat up on the public bus. And
Jeez.
I thought this would be a piece of cake, but the night a dessert plate literally went zinging past my head, I realized maybe I was way in over my head. I realized at the time, at first I thought, oh, positive parenting is the answer. And I find a lot of parents come to me and they're like, oh yeah, attachment parenting is the answer. And I've discovered it really isn't.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Meta Transitions. Today we have with us Kelly. She is from joyfulparenting.com. She specializes in helping parents with strong-willed children eliminate exhausting tension and tantrums so they can enjoy a loving and harmonious family. Thank you for being with us, Kelly.
So great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Definitely, definitely. All right. So just to start off, Kelly, tell us what is your transition story and how you've encountered transitions in your work.
Yeah, absolutely. So for a lot of parents, they know that having the non-parents in their life can be really annoying. And I was absolutely one of those annoying non-parents in my 20s who frankly thought I knew everything. Humility was not my middle name. I got really good working with the children that others had given up on. So good that I kind of became the it girl in my work.
Yeah.
But one day, a file came across my desk and it was two brothers. No one would work with them. The last person who did, they beat up on the public bus. And I thought this would be a piece of cake. But the night a dessert plate literally went zinging past my head, I realized maybe I was way in over my head.
Oh my God, I can't imagine.
Yeah. And so, that was a huge transition because I think a lot of times we can be on a certain path and we think, yeah, I got this down. We're really good at this. And I know I hear from a lot of my mom clients in particular, they can even have one child and they think, yeah, we got this parenting thing down, high five. And then another child comes around and they're like, oh, or it might be their third child, or it might be a transition where suddenly they're bringing their children to school and suddenly everything's falling apart. So, that was a huge turning point for me where I was also using a type of parenting that I really thought was positive parenting. I was using the consequences. I was using timeouts. I was using, the parenting tip du jour, so to speak.
Yes.
But what worked with so many children then didn't work with these two. And the one thing I didn't mention was, they were also blind from birth.
Okay.
And so they would have given Helen Keller a run for her money because when they weren't bouncing off the walls, they were literally pounding on them. And I just thought they needed more discipline. But the more I gave, the worse it got. Yeah. And I think a lot of times in transitions, we almost have to hit our rock bottom. I remember my dad, it was just a job for me, but pardon me, to a lot of other people, they saw it as just a job for me. But I was actually living with them. Their mom was a nurse. And so when she slept in the day to work at night, I parented her children. And, I remember my dad saying like, why don't you quit? Like this is ridiculous. Fortunately, I think I was a bit more stubborn than they were. And I just wouldn't give up for better and for worse. And I was so fortunate, similar to you, I was in a great master's program at the time. But I got to work, I got what most parents never get. And that's amazing expert handholding. So I had Dr. Gary McKay, he wrote co-authored Systematic Training for Effective Parenting, which in the 70s, I think sold over like 10 million copies. And Dr. Jane Nelson, who wrote Positive Discipline. And so frankly, I had them on like my speed dial where I could call them. And when like something happened again, where everything was melting down, I could call them and get help. So one of the things, and it's interesting from there's been lots of other transitions that have happened, but I realized at the time, at first I thought, oh, positive parenting is the answer. And I find a lot of parents come to me and they're like, oh yeah, attachment parenting is the answer. Or, oh yeah, this is the answer. 1, 2, 3 magic is the answer.
Yeah.
And I've discovered it really isn't for a couple of reasons. one of the biggest reasons to me is because if it doesn't match a parent's default personality type. So that's actually part of the reason why I created, it's a quiz called What's Your Mom Type? Because I wanted moms to have the awareness of what's their default. Because if you don't have a parenting program or a parenting path that supports and is a match to your values and what you believe, you won't stick with it, especially when the baby poop's hitting the fan. And that happens a lot.
Yes.
Right? And, you know, and for children, especially for parents who have strong-willed children or spirited kids, or those children that are just a bit more challenging, like sensitive kids, kids with anxiety, which during this time of COVID, I feel is just happening more and more. You know, there's a lot of times where kids are, there's those personality types that are just tougher to parent. And if you don't have a parenting plan that is customizable for your unique situation, you're not going to stick with it. And it'll work for a while until you come up against that next transition.
Yeah.
That kind of brings you back to your knees where you're like, now what? And it can be so humiliating sometimes. And I find embarrassing. I just have a mom client where she's had some doozies of temper tantrums, but they happen in public. And she's, especially with the mask now and everything, and she's so embarrassed about it.
Yeah.
Or I've had parents come to me and it happens in front of their in-laws and they feel really judged. And then there's the mom guilt that you can add on top of it. I feel like, you know, dads have it too, but I kind of feel like moms have a bit of the monopoly on the guilt part for whatever reason. It's at least what I found. Does that answer it a little bit? I know I went off in terms of how it relates to my clients, but I feel like it's important because I was really excited to do this interview with you because I feel like transitions and how we handle transitions, especially as parents,
yes,
is key to our effectiveness and success, and frankly, to how harmonious our home is.
No, definitely. I think what I'm hearing from you there is sort of, you were able to sort of recognize sort of skills that, you had within yourself to be able to, I don't know, I think it takes a special person to be able to put themselves like in these roles, right? Especially to work with strong-willed children. And I think what I'm picking up from you is sort of that sense of being strong-willed yourself, being willing to, be determined, that sense of, wanting to be able to problem solve and get results no matter what. And I think there's maybe a sense of understanding maybe from the children and where they're coming from, and being able to sort of recognize what do these children need, identifying, that some of these modalities, like as you said, 1, 2, 3 children, kids, or the consequences and all of that attachment theory doesn't always apply to every situation. And it sounds like you're saying you're willing to be able to have that personal, contact with these families and identify what do these unique children need, and how can you provide that to them. And I think that's an amazing service that you're willing to provide there. For sure.
I'm really glad you brought up, me being the strong-willed one too, because I actually believe that a lot of strong-willed children require a strong-willed parent. And I say that in a loving sense. It's not from a punitive perspective at all, but it also can come from a confidence in that you do have a method, you do have a plan, you've thought about this. And so that's in part why, and it took me many years to develop, because probably like you, I was very well versed in positive parenting, like very well versed. So I had the consequences down, natural, and I call them common sense consequences. I had those down. So when you're faced with children who know exactly what buttons to push, and frankly, some of them are like Houdinis when it comes to this, for a parent, a lot of times you can have all the greatest parenting tips, but when that happens, it'll all fall apart and you'll forget your wisdom. right? If there's a parent listening to this right now and thinks like, oh, I turned into monster mom today. But, there's those kids that just push, or you're going through your own transition where it's extra difficult and you aren't getting the support you need. You might not have extended family around. You might be seeing friends and family because of COVID. There can be so many reasons. It can be that much more trying. And that's why I created what I call the Smart Mom Path. And SMART to me stands for simple, meaningful actions repeated over time. But those actions need to be based, there's three main steps to it. They first need to be based in the first step, which is called the love foundation. And love stands for living our values every day. And so if your parenting and how you approach parenting isn't really anchored in your true values of what's important to you, what gives you meaning, it won't last. And what I've discovered is that those spirited kiddos, they actually can sniff out inauthenticity and incongruence, and they don't respect it more than other kids. And that can be a real fight or flight moments, like creating those over and over again.
Definitely. Thank you for sharing sort of you said the Smart Mom
Path.
What was that one? Path.
The
Smart Mom Path. That's great. That's such a great even takeaway, wanting moms just listening, hearing the Smart Mom Path. They're like, I want to know what path this is, and I want to be able to travel down that path. Because you're right. There's so many moms that are out there that are frustrated, that are like, I just want to throw in the hat right now sort of thing. And they, sort of like being able to have somewhat of a structure, being able to connect with you and be able to find ways, as you said, to be loving, to, to identify caring approaches that, that they can take, that can help them to be able to, as I said, nurture these kids that otherwise others would throw to the wayside, right?
Totally. It sounds crazy, but I actually believe that temper tantrums are a smart mom's greatest gift. Gift.
Okay, tell us about that, because I'm seriously interested.
The reason I say that is, first of all, that when you really get your path down, and because the first one I talked about is the love foundation, the next one is the biology boosters. It's those things that support each of us in our family of really showing up as our best in energy, in nutrition, in all of those things, but also in connection and an understanding. So it's like, every member of my family really does have my back, really does support me. And the last one is what I call luminous parenting. And the reason I call it luminous parenting is because if you're not using child discipline that eventually, not always, brings out your best and their best, there is something wrong. And until you're able to do that, and when you're able to do that, it's a total game changer. Because then when you have temper tantrums, then when you have meltdowns, it's like you have this confidence that we're going to get through this together even closer.
Yes.
And for me, that's what the gift is. The gift is when we're living in families and in homes where we know there can be meltdowns, we know there's transitions, we know life happens and we can't control it all. But when we go home, we're going to be cared for, we're going to be understood, and we're going to be forgiven. That's where the magic happens. That's where home sweet home happens.
That sense of belonging, like you're talking about there. So, and it sounds a little bit like, that sense of security, that we were talking about off record, but that sense of security in being able to recognize that, you have a space that you can come to, and that you can tell, these individuals who are guardians and parents, the bad stuff that happened, the good stuff that happened, and feeling like you're not going to be judged in a sense as a child. So it sounds like you're helping parents to be able to develop that safe space for their children, and, to be able to help them to be able to be healthy, to be able to provide that space, right? So it sounds like it's not just for the children, you're helping the parents to be there so they can support the children in the best way possible.
Completely. And sometimes that's supporting parents through their own transitions, right? And may I share one of the things, like it's a method I use in the Love Foundation, because I feel I start there a lot and it links to transitions. So I call it the PUP method, P-U-P, which I think of it like puppies.
Yes.
You know, when we have puppies, they are more fragile, but they're also exuberant and they can be so lovely, but they can also be completely irritating when they've chewed your shoe to bits, where they've peed all over, and it can be all consuming. And so PUP, I use acronyms a lot, if you hadn't noticed. I've already told you 3. This is my third, and I'm going to stop there, I promise.
Yes.
The first one is pause. And so when we're going through a transition or we're faced with trauma, drama, or both, it's to pause and to figure out what's really going on, which is the second word, which is understanding. And so I think a lot of parents, and I also find teachers, well-meaning, totally well-meaning, I think miss this part. They might think they have it, but in terms of the understanding part, I think a lot of us, of the experts out there, can forget that child misbehavior is not the problem. It's not the problem. It's the solution to a problem that the child has found.
Wow.
And until you get that, it kind of turns things on its head, because a lot of times you're like, yeah, well, you just do this. Why are you yelling? You shouldn't be yelling. You shouldn't, step up, stop spitting Cheerios at your sibling. Yeah. But that's working for them on some level. And until you really figure out what the problem is, what the purpose is behind it, how it's serving them, you can't motivate and inspire your child to change it. And so the third one, when it comes to those transitions, so PUP is, pause, understand, and then it's prepare. And the preparing is really looking at what truly is going to motivate, what's going to make the difference here to inspire someone to step up in a new way. And if you can't help your child get skin in the game, if it only matters to you, it's often not enough, especially for a spirited child.
Yeah. You want to get them, as you said, active and a part, that sense of belonging again. So it's, making them a part of the solution in a sense. So not only are you pausing to sort of think, okay, what's going on here, right? You're gaining understanding to try to figure out, okay, what is this behavior serving? What are they getting out of this? Then you're also, engaging them in participation, encouraging them to say, okay, now I understand what's going on here. How can we, change this? And you're inviting them into that process, which is great.
May I give you an example of using it and how it might be used?
Sure.
Okay. So when I was working with the boys, I remember the youngest one was 6 and I would drop them off at school. And sometimes I would literally, because I was so exhausted, I would be like dropping them off and I'd be like running to my car like a prisoner, making a break for it, for freedom. And like I was that exhausted. There were times, especially if it had been a doozy of a morning, I'm like, oh my gosh. Anyways, and the kids would line up outside their classroom, and there were times, and he had his little cane, he was blind, and he would start like rapping with it. And there were times and I'd be so embarrassed because he'd be like, Nick has a very big, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. And he would always say, it has a very big pick. And I don't know if he even knew what he was saying, but I was mortified. And, at first there was a part of me that just wanted him to change. Right? But when I finally paused, and I didn't do it right away, just so you know, I also nagged and I did all of the things you shouldn't do. I did all of it. But when I paused and I understood, I'm like, wow, he actually has a smile on his face every time he's doing it. Like, what is he getting out of it? Well, other kids around him would snicker and laugh. So, and as a blind child, he wasn't getting belonging. He wasn't feeling sense. So this is one of the ways he could connect, right? And he was also incredibly bored because standing there waiting for the classroom door to open, he was making entertainment for himself.
Yeah.
And so part of what I could then understanding was prepare for, it's like, oh, he's really bored. Like, actually, I shouldn't bring him so early because he's just waiting there and being bored. Right. And then the other thing I could do was connect with some of the other parents around at drop off time in the morning, and also kind of introduce him to some of the other kids so he could make connections there.
Oh, lovely.
But if you're coming from that top down of like, oh my gosh, this is embarrassing, you know, half the time your child's behavior has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
You know, like your reaction has everything to do with you. But what they're doing at first, you know, they're often testing the waters, and they test it with you. And the more you're able to harness and figure out how to motivate them in positive ways to really step up and be a contributing member of the family, the better off we all are.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm so thankful for, you know, what you shared there. And, you know, it's as an aspiring mom, you know, I could see how I would implement, you know, this method. Like, I think that's something imprinted on my brain right now, the pup method. And just the way that you shared that just now, just sort of, you know, made me realize you're right. Sometimes we have sort of these, you know, as you said, top down methods, in the sense where we take it personally. You know, this is, you know, an accost to me, or, you know, I'm embarrassed from what the child's doing, instead of sort of taking time to think about what's really going on, and then being able to identify how you can help that child to, you know, be their best selves, in a sense. And I think that's sort of what you were able to do for this child in particular. And you helped them to thrive. And I'm sure this child was able to, you know, entertain others in a more respectful way, once you got to know them, right?
Yeah. And it's interesting, you know, because for a while there, I was a counselor at a university, and my clients were all young adults.
Yes.
And it was the first time, because I worked so much with younger children and their parents, but it was the first time in that position, I was there for a year, that I could see how parenting could influence the young adult they became too. And that sometimes, again, not through any intentions of the parents, if they hadn't prepared their child well, in terms of life skills, in terms of really having those tough conversations, sometimes I saw it was more all about me versus all about we. And that's important for parents to think about too. It's not just about stopping the behavior. It's about, what does this mean for us? What does this mean, and what can be learned here? And that is easier said than done. You know, if you have a second child, if you have a new baby, if you're exhausted, but taking the time can make a world of difference in the years to come.
Oh, definitely. Most definitely. And I would love to end on that note, Kelly. It's so well summarized, in the sense that, you know, wanting to ensure that as parents, you know, we're thinking about the next generation and them becoming parents, right? And them becoming adults, in a sense. And what we do as parents helps to shape, you know, who they become. And, you know, the responsibility of a parent is a tough one, for sure. You know, but it sounds like you're out there helping, you know, these parents to, as you said, be supportive, loving, you know, understanding parents, to be able to pass on to, you know, these strong-willed children, you know, skills that they can learn, so they can then pass those on to their children, you know, multi-generational process, for sure. So I really appreciate you being here with us, and for sharing, you know, a little nugget of, you know, what you do. My question to you, for the end here, how can people contact you, Kelly? You know, if they want to be able to, you know, better learn about the pup method, or, you know, to get on the mom path. Yes.
The best way is going to joyfullyparenting.com, and right at the top there, you can also take the Smart Mom quiz to find out what your mom type is. And a lot of moms are really loving it, because it also shares their secret alter ego, which is either a Hollywood star or a superhero, which is kind of fun.
Okay. Okay, I wonder what I am, huh? I
Well,
might
you
go
not
take
being a
it just
parent,
to
I don't know.
find out.
I know which one I am, and I'm wondering my 13-year-old, he probably would agree. But anyways, I digress. It was lovely to be here. And again, if anyone wants to join me or learn more, go to joyfullyparenting.com, and I would love to learn more about you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, there you have it, folks. Kelly shared such amazing information with us. We will share her information in the description below. So until next time, take care.